Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for asking my husband to cancel his bros-only trip to help me with our newborn after he promised he would? This situation has caused a lot of tension between my husband and me, and now I'm questioning whether I'm being unreasonable. I, 30F, gave birth to our first child, Olivia, 2 months ago. Being a first-time mom has been both beautiful and overwhelming. My husband, Jake, 32M, was incredibly supportive during the pregnancy and promised that after Olivia was born, he would be there for me every step of the way, especially during those challenging first few months. Before Olivia was born, Jake and his friends had been planning a bros-only trip for this summer, a week-long vacation to a cabin in the mountains for hiking, fishing, and bonding. When the trip was being discussed, I reminded Jake that Olivia would only be a few months old, and we would be deep in the newborn phase. He reassured me that if things got too tough, he would cancel the trip to help me out, and I trusted him. Now that Olivia is here, things have been harder than I anticipated. Between the sleepless nights, breastfeeding struggles, and just trying to adjust to motherhood, I've been feeling overwhelmed. Jake has been helpful, but I can tell he's excited about this trip, which is coming up next month. Last week, I asked Jake if he could consider canceling the trip, reminding him of his promise. I told him that I'm struggling and that having him gone for a whole week would be really tough on me. He seemed surprised and a bit hurt that I was asking him to cancel. He said he's been looking forward to this trip for months, and that he needs a break, too. He also pointed out that his parents live nearby and could help if I needed support while he was away. I understand that Jake needs a break and wants to spend time with his friends, but I can't help feeling like this is a time when I really need him by my side. I tried to explain that while I appreciate his parents' help, it's not the same as having him here. Jake said that I'm being unfair by asking him to cancel the trip after all the planning that went into it and that I need to trust him to make sure I'm supported even if he's not physically there. Now, we're at a bit of a standoff. Some of my friends think I should let him go, saying that it's important for him to have some time away, especially after all the stress of becoming a new dad. But others agree that it's too soon for him to take off for a week, and that he should prioritize being home with me and Olivia. So am I the a-hole for asking my husband to cancel his bros-only trip to help me with our newborn after he promised he would? Edit. Hey, everyone. I just wanted to give a quick update after reading through most of the replies. I was honestly overwhelmed by the amount of support and understanding I received. Thank you so much to everyone who took the time to respond. Your kind words and thoughtful advice really helped me feel less alone in this situation. A lot of you suggested that I should also take a week off, letting Jake stay with Olivia, to get a break for myself. I really appreciate the sentiment behind that suggestion, but there are a couple of reasons why it's not realistic for me right now. First of all, I'm breastfeeding, so being away from Olivia for that long would be really difficult logistically. But beyond that, and this is something I know I need to work on, I just don't feel comfortable being away from my baby yet. I know it's not healthy to feel like I can't have her out of my sight, but I can't help it. I guess it's just that new mom anxiety that's really hard to shake. I've been debating whether or not to show Jake this thread. I'm worried that reading it might hurt his feelings, but I'm definitely going to have another conversation with him about everything. I'm willing to compromise and let him go on the trip, but I think a whole week is just too much. I'm leaning towards suggesting that he limit the trip to a maximum of 3 nights, so he can still have some time away with his friends but not be gone for an entire week. I'll update again after we've talked. Thanks again for all the support, everyone. It really means a lot to me. Also, I'm new to Reddit, not sure if I should be posting updates or just editing this post. Update. Hey, everyone. I just wanted to share another update after having a very long and emotional talk with Jake. I won't get into every detail of our conversation, but I'll touch on the most important points. After putting Olivia to bed, I went straight to bed myself, feeling utterly exhausted. Jake was already asleep, but for some reason, the weight of everything just hit me all at once, and I started crying uncontrollably. My sobbing woke Jake up, and he immediately asked me what was wrong. I told him that I was just tired, but then I opened up about how anxious I'd been feeling about his trip and being left alone with Olivia. I admitted something I've been reluctant to say out loud, that Jake hasn't been as involved as I thought he would be. This was one of my biggest fears when we found out we were having a baby. For context, Jake has a rocky relationship with his own dad. I won't go into detail about why his dad isn't the best, but his mom, my mother-in-law, remarried when Jake was in middle school, and his dad wasn't very present in his life. Jake has expressed to me before that becoming a father was scary for him because he's afraid of being a bad one, just like his dad. When he first told me that, I thought it would make him into a great father, because it showed how much he cared about being a good dad long before we were even pregnant. When I vented to him about all of this, at first, he tried to defend himself. He admitted that he's been freaking out about having a baby for so long and just didn't want to tell me. He said he didn't want to stress me out while I was pregnant because he knows how much I've always wanted to be a mother. Hearing him say that made me feel guilty, like I hadn't seen how much he's been struggling internally. I had tried to convince him that he was going to be a great dad when we had this conversation long ago, and now it all felt more complicated. I thought to myself, this can't go on much longer. I realized that if he was going to keep pulling away like this, I didn't know if I could handle it. So I asked him, is this what our life is going to look like from now on? Me with Olivia and you away? Because if it is, Jake, then I don't think I can continue on like this. Jake told me to calm down and assured me that he wasn't going anywhere. Then he got really emotional, he even started to tear up. He said he didn't want to turn into his dad, and that he hadn't realized that going on this trip could be a preliminary step toward becoming the absentee father he feared he might be. He apologized for not considering me and Olivia as much as he should have. Long story short, Jake called his friends and told them he wouldn't be able to make the trip. He's even started planning a little family getaway for the three of us next year when Olivia is a bit older. It was a tough conversation, but I feel like we're on the same page now, and I'm hopeful that things will get better from here. Thanks again to everyone for your support and advice. It's been an emotional roller coaster, but I'm grateful for this community helping me navigate it. Top comments. You were uncomfortable for 9 months, you went through labor, you are now breastfeeding, what the F*** does he need a break from? He was a giant a-hole when he even planned this trip. He was a bigger a-hole when he lied about canceling, and he's the giant gaping insanely awful a-hole now that he thinks it's unreasonable for you not to want him to be gone for an entire week when you're already overwhelmed. It doesn't seem like you'd want his parents to stay for that week while he's gone. This made me furious. I hope this is his only misstep, though I doubt it. Not the a-hole. Edited to add my first award ever. Thank you. Not the a-hole. He agreed he would cancel it, until he was actually held to his word. Planning a trip with his friends a few months after your due date was truly spectacularly poor judgment in the first place. He is a dad now. He's not your helper, he should be pulling his own weight, and he should know by now that this is a bad idea. No, his parents living nearby does not make up for it, and no, it is not reasonable for him to expect you to trust him to make sure you're supported even though he's not physically there. This is his baby. He should be physically there, not just supporting you, but taking care of his own child who I must assume you are still recovering from carrying and giving birth to. You are not being unfair. He is being a liar. What do we call people who say they'll do something and then pitch a fit when you expect them to actually do it? I assume Jake will be looking after Olivia for a week once you've stopped breastfeeding and can go away for a break. Let Jake know that if he uses his parents as free childcare it will result in a further week of rest being required. Jake seems oblivious to the struggles you are facing with your child, and selfishly prioritizes his own needs over you and Olivia. Not the a-hole, hubby needs to grow up. Pregnancy, childbirth, and early parenthood are absolutely unfair. He just seems to be confused about who they are unfair for. You were pregnant for 9+ months. You gave birth. You had to deal with the physical effects of giving birth. Your hormones are still not back to normal. You're breastfeeding. All of that is on top of the shared challenges you both face as the parents of an infant. So expecting to be able to take a week-long break, when your co-parent probably won't be able to have a similar length break for months, is unfair. Not the a-hole. Part of being a parent is sacrificing your own wants and desires for your child. Part of being a good husband is listening to your wife when she says she needs you. Frankly, he should have considered canceling it when he knew the baby would be here by the time the trip came up. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister's kids the truth about why I never had children? Posting this on an alt account. My 36F younger sister, 34F, has 3 kids, aged 7, 5, and 3. I'm child-free by choice, which has always been a point of contention in my family. My sister especially has been very vocal about her belief that a woman's purpose is to be a mother, and how I'm missing out on the best part of life. I've always just brushed it off to keep the peace. Recently, my sister and her kids came over to my house. While my sister was busy, her 7-year-old asked me why I don't have kids. I tried to give a vague, polite answer, but they kept pressing, saying their mom told them that I would change my mind one day because everyone does. At this point, I decided it was time for the truth. I calmly told them that I didn't want children because I value my freedom, career, and personal time. I explained that while some people love being parents, others find happiness in different ways, and that it's okay not to have kids if that's what makes you happy. I also added that everyone's life choices are valid as long as they're happy and fulfilled. My sister overheard part of the conversation and later blew up at me, accusing me of trying to brainwash her kids and undermine her parenting. She said that I was selfish for planting doubt in her children's minds about the importance of family. She even accused me of glamorizing a lifestyle that she feels is empty and meaningless. She stormed out with her kids, and later my parents called, siding with her. They said I should have just humored the kids or deflected the question, and that I owed my sister an apology for causing unnecessary drama. I don't think I did anything wrong. I was honest, respectful, and gave a balanced perspective. I'm tired of being made to feel like my choices are lesser or need to be hidden just to avoid conflict. I believe it's important for kids to know that there are different paths in life, and not all of them involve having children. Am I the a-hole for being honest with my niece and nephews about why I chose not to have kids, even if it caused a family rift? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister has been undermining you to her kids for years in a very passive-aggressive way. Because of this question was bound to come up sometime. And, rather than be PA's return, you were direct and approached the subject head-on. And your sister couldn't take it because she is afraid that if her kids are exposed to other points of view, they will develop opinions of their own. Like Carl Sagan said, if it can be destroyed by the truth, it deserves to be destroyed by the truth. Not the a-hole. Ask Sis et al. If this would have been a better answer. Well, you see, your mommy has no self-esteem and doesn't think she's got any purpose in life than to be an incubator and nanny. Of course that's extreme, but her whole attitude that it's a woman's purpose in life is just cringe. Is she channeling Vance? Not the a-hole. You told the truth. There was nothing harmful about what you said. Her kids need to hear from all sides of a story so that when they get older, they can make decisions like this about themselves. Your sister honestly sounds a bit insecure and jealous. Perhaps she regrets not having the freedom you do. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother she's not a first-time mom now that she had a new baby? I, 24M, have a good relationship with my mother, 40F, even though, as you can tell from our age, she had me when she was very young and obviously lacked the maturity to raise me, so I lived with my grandparents, who were then below poverty line, for most of my childhood while my mother moved away to get her college education. I don't blame her for her choices. I know she worked hard to improve herself and to get to a place where she would have the means to raise me right, but it wasn't until I was 11 or 12 that she was stable enough to get me to live with her. Bio dad was never in the picture. Anyway, now, my mother is financially comfortable and happily married. She gave birth to her second son a couple of weeks ago. I don't live with her anymore, we're not in the same city, it's a 2-hour drive, so it wasn't until yesterday that I managed to visit her and see my half-brother for the first time. I noticed she was surrounded by a lot of fancy accessories, so I was like, what are those? And she was like, that's the baby's Lexus stroller and Louis Vuitton diaper bag of course. So I said something like, you really went overboard huh? And then she said something that really hurt me. She said she now had the chance to experience motherhood for the first time, and that she was feeling like a first-time mom because, when she had me, she was so young and unprepared and financially vulnerable. So I told her she was not a first-time mom, and I couldn't understand why she'd say something like that to me. She tried to argue that she didn't mean it like that, but I was still upset. I just didn't push it because my stepfather arrived. She texted me after I left, but I didn't reply yet. I also didn't pick up when she tried to call me. Am I the a-hole for holding on to this? Top comments. Not the a-hole, and this is a very tricky situation and I understand why you are upset. I'm sorry that you didn't get the same response when you were born as your mum was so young. It's an insensitive thing to say to you and I hope your mother can try to understand why you are upset. No a-hole here. I understand why her words hurt you. Yes, she was already a mum before her second child. But it sounds like she wasn't your primary caretaker until you were over a decade old. I'm extrapolating here, and I apologize if I'm wrong, but she wasn't able to spend the amount of time with you as a baby that most mums do. She didn't get the experience of buying baby stuff, making the decisions, controlling the environment, being responsible for a new, little life. I don't think she's wrong for being happy that she can now have that experience. I also don't think her comments mean that you don't matter to her, or that she doesn't consider you to be her child. It sounds like seeing the financial stability and comfort your half-sibling has been born into made you feel some things, and your mom's comments pushed you over the line into being pissed off. My mom had me when she was 16, so I kind of feel you on this. She'd been thrown out of her house at 14 and this made her go no contact with almost every family member because no one took her side or helped her. So she struggled quite a bit after my birth and over the years. She didn't have another baby like your story, but I kind of felt the same way because after I moved out she started having this new, fancy life. I didn't say nothing at first but told her, one time tipsy on wine, that she was living good since I was not a weight on her shoulder anymore. After having a talk with her I understood so much about what she had endured during a time she was supposed to live her teen experiences. I didn't lack anything when I was a child and now that I'm spreading my wings, it's like she reward herself for the years of efforts she had put. I understand it's a bit tricky with the fact that you and your sibling is not gonna have the same life, especially with that age gap. If you take the time to have a conversation with her I'm sure you will understand so much more than just that thing she said, which it's pretty hurtful, I give it to you. You're not the a-hole, but I suggest you to try to understand her side also. No a-hole here. Your feelings are valid. But to be fair, in your own words, your mother said she was feeling like a first-time mum, not that she was. Your own post states that she spoke about how the experience makes her feel like she's experiencing motherhood for the first time, and let's be real, that is what is happening, kind of. She was young when she had you, left you at your grandparents' and didn't actually raise you. By her own choice, she didn't get the mum of a newborn/infant experience with you. I think she knows that her phrasing hurt you and is trying to talk to you and apologize. I don't think she was trying to be mean or to imply that you are any less her child. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.